Hello. Thanks for joining. Thank you guys for watching. I will be brief but thorough. So, what I wanted to do is go over a few reasons why I think the preservation industry is not dead, contrary to what people say. Not a lot of people, but enough people to where I feel like this video is warranted. I'm Danielle Pierce, creator of Women, Wealth, and Real Estate, and I show people how to get started in real estate outside of sales, specifically property preservation, specifically tax lien investing. So the number one reason why the industry is not dead is because there's still relatively low barriers to entry relative to the revenue potential that is available. So let me specify. My background is in audit, and I've worked in accounting. I've been in public accounting, corporate audit, blah, blah, blah. I know what it takes in order to get one of those positions that pay like 115, 130, 110, or even like 80, $90,000 a year. And it requires a lot of college, right? Typically 4 years for a bachelor's, plus sometimes a master's or an MBA, and then it also requires you to have the experience to warrant that salary, so to speak. So in property preservation, though, you don't have those same type of barriers. I'm not saying you're gonna get in the industry right off the bat. You're gonna make $120,000 in profit right away, but it's certainly doable within a couple of years' time. Whereas to do that, like in a corporate setting, requires way much more time, energy, and effort. So that's one reason. Second reason is that, well, we already talked about the high revenue potential. I can't really think of anything, not even just in real estate, because I've tried a lot of different things in real estate, but just in general, where the revenue and income potential is so high and the barriers to entry are, as low as they are. Like you don't even need to have a college degree. You don't even need to have your general contractor's license. You don't even need to have all the any type of special certifications or any of that. I don't even think you need a high school diploma, if I'm not mistaken. And there's really not anything else quite like that in terms of, you don't need all of these things, but you could still go on to get a position where you can earn this amount of money. Another reason why, it's probably my favorite reason why I think the industry is not dead is because subprime lending is back, you guys. Subprime lending is back like it never left. So subprime lending is basically when banks give loans to people with, for example, a 500 credit score. And they did this before. And it's weird that it's back because it's almost as if everyone's forgotten it's a bad idea to give people loans to buy a property that have 500 credit scores. If somebody has a 500 or a 580 credit score, they have it for a very specific reason. Like it ain't rocket science. They have it because they didn't pay their bills on time, or they don't know how to manage their money, or a combination of the two. Like it's not something you really have to spend a lot of time thinking about. That's what generates credit scores. But again, you can get those types of loans again right now. 500 credit score. No doc loans are back. Those are the loans where people don't have to show proof of W-2s, savings, any of that stuff. You just say how much money you have and how much money you earn per month or per year, and then you can get a loan. Like it's amazing that those loans have already made a comeback, but nevertheless they have. And typically, which as we all know, when you loan people hundreds of thousands of dollars, right, to buy a property, and they have 500 credit scores, it sounds great in the beginning and it seems like this noble endeavor, but eventually, it's going to come down. They're going to, be in over their heads and fall behind, which will lead to a foreclosure. And those properties need to be maintained. So that in turn leads to more inventory for our industry. So, and I've attended a couple of conferences. I've been watching different blogs and websites talking about this, but another real estate bubble is expected to happen. And yeah, I think that, things are looking good in that regard. Another reason why I think that people say that the industry is dead, and you guys can correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe that people who say this is because they work for a regional company and they've never worked as a primary vendor with a national company. That's my honest opinion. I've watched some of the people in like these different Facebook groups that I'm in. Some of the inboxes that I receive from people who asking certain questions. The questions they ask lead me to believe almost definitely that they don't know exactly what they're doing or who they're working for. They only have the insight of the one person that they work for at that company, but they're not working directly with like an Altisource or an MCS or something like that because they don't know enough. In my opinion, from what I've seen, they don't know enough, and it leads me to believe that that's just not what they're doing. So if you're only working for a sub of a sub of a sub, right? then that's all you know. And of course, you're gonna be bitter as hell, talking about it's no money to be made, it's not working, I don't like it, it's some BS, because you're only getting one take on the industry, and that's from the person that you're working for, and they're only gonna tell you what they want you to know. Like I can't tell you how many people that I talk to, and they'll say things like, "Oh, well, my boss told me that had to have $100,000 surety bond." Or somebody else will say, "Oh, my boss told me that the insurance costs $5,000 a month," or any number of, sorry about that, any number of different things that I hear that are blatantly untrue, but because they want to keep people kind of in a certain role and doing what they're doing to working for their company, they don't want them to go out and get their own, set up their own company and set up their own preservation company and get their own contract. They don't want them to know what the actual pricing is from the company. They want them to only know what they tell them. And so when people start talking about their bidder, about 8.5 out of 10 times they're working for one of those types of companies. And then the last reason, and this is not going to be a popular opinion, I know, but the last reason why I think that people say the industry is dying and they're bitter is because they are or they were subpar vendors. So, what does that mean? That means that they were not meeting the expectations of the companies that they had their contract with. And as we all know, you can get away with a lot of shit. Let's be honest. You can get away with a lot of stuff. And, and sometimes you can get away with it for what feels like a long period of time. I know when I got started, one of the things that helped me get in the door was one, it was timing, right? They were looking for vendors. I was in the application process and it was a little bit of timing, but also the vendor that was covering a huge part of the area where I live, they let them go. They got fired. And that does happen. And so, like I said, you can get away with a lot for, a pretty good a bit of time. But I feel like they're always watching. And then like people are always watching, like even if it's just the neighbor, somebody's always watching and recording and taking notes. And eventually when they get to the point where they're tired and they want to, make some changes, they'll make some changes. And those changes are very abrupt. I know because I've experienced them in different aspects, and they will let people go. So I think that the people who are bitter, not all of them, but I would say a pretty good percentage of them, they're just shitty vendors. They just didn't know what they were doing. They didn't have the right systems. They didn't follow the instructions. They didn't take the right pictures. They just did not do what they were supposed to do. And I'd love to get you guys' feedback on that as well. So with that being said, I just want to come on very briefly. It's like my second YouTube live and talk about, why I think people are saying the industry is dying. I personally am still a huge fan of it. I still work in the industry. I'll be doing so probably for the next few years for sure. Not sure what I'll be doing after that. But in terms of the money you can make and the cost of to get into the industry, I literally can't think of anything else outside of selling drugs that will allow you to pull that off. And again, you guys can let me know what you think in the comment section. So again, this is Danielle Pierce. I'm the creator of Women Wealth in Real Estate. If you'd like more information, head to my website, daniellepierce.com. I'll be looking for your comments below. All right. I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.